Hi, everyone. We will be starting here shortly. I'm not expecting too many more people. So, Chelsea, I think you can jump into it whenever you want. And we're recording this, so we'll have it on our YouTube if you need to share it or for anybody who missed it.
Awesome. Thanks, Ari. Good morning, everybody. Let me get my screen share going. Okay, are you guys seeing the CIP homepage, the CIP Survey homepage? Great.
Yep.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody, I guess. Good to see some of you again from Sunday. I'm here in a different capacity this morning, and I just, before we dive into it, I do want to disclose that I am the president of Airport Heights Community Council, but I am not involved in our CIP process this year, and I will be abstaining from voting on it. So I just want to clear up any conflict of interest there. CIP is what brought me to Community Council and also what brought me to this position. So I do care a lot about it. And as I'm almost a year into this position, but not quite, I'm delicately navigating that balance and making sure that I'm doing the best I can not to have that conflict of interest, because I want to support everybody in the municipality. Okay, so this is the homepage that you would navigate to from that mayor's letter to community councils that you would have all received. It looks like this. And just wanted to point out that in the mayor's letter, which was launched on, the survey was launched on March 4th. Again, a little bit later than we were hoping for this year, but about a month and a half earlier than last year. So we made some progress there, and we hope to make more next year. And then we're hoping that surveys can get completed by May 20th, knowing that that's 2.5 months.
I have a question about that?
Yeah.
So May 20th is an awkward date because it's not quite at the end of the month. And a lot of community councils have their monthly meeting right after the 20th. Is it possible to move that date till the end of May?
It is. I would love for us to aim for that. And then if there are unique situations, I'm happy to work with those councils that need, another couple days to get that vote in and the survey submitted. But we're going to aim for that because if you've seen some of our other presentations on this on the capital improvement program, it's the departments use this information to put our lists together that go to the administration. And the sooner we have that input from you all, the sooner we can use that in our process. So we're just trying to strike this balance. And again, if we're able to move it up more next year, which we're hoping to, I think that'll, we can give everybody more time, basically. So yeah, the short answer, John, is we're happy to work with you if your council is like the following week.
So May 22nd is the fourth Thursday of the month, and that's when a number of community councils meet, and we would like to vote on it on that date. So if we could have 1 or 2 more days, we could submit a resolution that supported our CIP that way.
Understood. I will do my best to work with our folks over here to get that extended.
Thank you.
Yep. But for the time being, we're going to aim for the 20th with the understanding that there's likely some flexibility there. As I know last year, I think there was about 2 weeks added at the end of the period for folks to get their submissions in. So that's where we're at with that. The other thing I wanted to point out on the homepage, so if you need to go back to that letter for any reason, that's linked here on the homepage as well. The other thing on the homepage is this. So when you land on the homepage, you see the 2026 survey results, which we don't have any feedback yet. But then right next to it, it doesn't really look like a tab, but it is a tab. You can go and look at what your priorities were for 2025. And remember, these are the year doesn't align because we're submitting priorities for the following year budget process, basically. So that's why the years are a little bit confusing because of the budget cycle. So Airport Heights 2025 priorities would have been what Airport Heights submitted last year. And just wanted to reference that in case that's helpful for folks that are putting together lists. You know, a starting place could be what you submitted last year if you submitted something. Okay, and then I also wanted to point out at the bottom of the homepage, if you have issues, you can click here and that sends an email to Grayson, who's my IT contact at the municipality. I would say initially, please reach out to me because he's the IT guy, but I'm the survey person. So yeah, John, go ahead.
I tried to change the people that were running our CIP are no longer on our community council. So I tried to change my password today, but it wouldn't let me do that. It wouldn't give me a notice that, oh, here's the new link.
Will you send me an email and I can, I have access to update that on the back end. So
sure.
I can work with you on that.
Thank you.
But just wanted to point that out in case you get stuck or you're not hearing back from me for whatever reason, maybe your email isn't coming through or something like that. There is another option to reach out to Grayson, and it also goes to Christine Chestnut, who works for the Office of Management and Budget.
Chelsea, this is Kathy Gleason.
Yep.
I may have the same problem that John brought up with regard to passwords. So you said we should email you after this, or I didn't catch.
Yes, that would be great. Or while we're meeting, you can send me an email just so that it's in my queue and I can follow up as soon as possible afterwards.
Okay, thank you, Chelsea.
Absolutely. Okay, and then the biggest thing I want to point out on the homepage that I think has really tripped people up, and it's 100% understandable, up here, and are you guys able to see my mouse or not? Because I'm just sharing the, oh, you are. Okay, great. Thanks, Ari. So up here in the top right-hand corner is CCS, which I believe stands for Community Council Surveys, login. And lots of folks get to this homepage and they're like, I don't see how I can do any prioritization. And 100% understandable. You just got to go to the login. Okay. Let me just double check that oh yeah. And then I just want to point out that these last year priorities will give you like a PDF version of what you submitted. So that's, it'll open in like a print friendly format. Okay.
Sorry, Chelsea. I don't know when I should jump in and ask questions or let you.
Anytime. Yep.
But one of the strange things that happened last year, and I haven't looked lately, but when we first got this notice, I went online and looked at Turnagain Community Councils, and all the projects are listed twice. And I have no idea how that happened or if it's something I did last year. I don't know how it happened, but it's very odd. And that's kind of the one of two parts of the actual projects under Turnagain. I'm sure the case is for other councils as well. But I wanted to bring that one up. If you can click on Turnagain, and you can see that all the projects are listed twice.
Huh. That is funny. I think I will just work with our IT folks. It's probably just something that happened in the upload process. I don't think it's everybody. So Kathy, would you mind just including that in your email if you're emailing me about your login, that just so I don't forget about it?
Okay.
We should be able to clean that up, given that nobody's submitted their surveys yet, I can work with our IT folks to get stuff fixed before you go in there.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, that looks like just an IT glitch.
Okay, yeah, it was odd.
I'll
And
double check
and
that it
then I
doesn't
don't know if now or later is appropriate time to ask about why there's so many projects listed. Councils, at least speaking for Turnagain, it's the only one I look at. Sorry. Um, uh, there's a lot of projects that are not within our boundaries. And I know some are area wide, but like, you know, just those first ones were included Campbell Creek, Lake Otis Crossing, and, you know, Sitka Street Park connectivity. So I don't know why they're in there. They're in there, you know, multiple years. And how do we get rid of those?
So that is another thing, in addition to changing the timeline that we had hoped to address this year, didn't quite get the chance to, but really hope to address next year is if you've been doing this for a long time, like you have, Kathy, you may remember before we switched, I think, to the platform that we're currently using, the project prioritization used to be by like department. So there was like a PM&E section and a Parks and Rec section and an Alaska DOT section, and you'd rank the projects within those categories. And we're hoping to go back to that because I believe it was more helpful for community councils. And I know it's, you know, from the department level, I think it's a little bit more helpful for us to know, you know, not necessarily which is your top priority overall, but which is your top PM&E priority, because those are the projects that we're looking on to submit our list to the administration. And the reason I'm giving all that background is because if we move back to that bucket system, that category system, we can also have an area-wide bucket. And then hopefully that won't be quite as confusing or frustrating for councils, because I think it is, at least I believe for Parks and Rec, who submits most of those area-wide ones, it is really important for them to understand how do people care about these big area-wide projects that cost a lot of money, but could, you know, if we had that Campbell Creek crossing at Lake Otis, that's a major barrier in completing the Moose Loop that they've been working towards for many years. So those projects are important and they affect everybody in ways that maybe some other projects are more local. So that was a long-winded answer, but hopefully
Chelsea, that same issue came up at our recent meeting about why aren't our projects categorized by the party responsible for carrying them out? So can we do that on our own? Can we go, okay, these are going to be park projects, these are going to be AWU projects, these are going to be AMATS projects, or are you going to do that?
You can, and I can show you a way when you're in there how to do it when we're in the back end here in just a minute. But the way it's set up this year is that you're ranking from one to whatever as a whole list. So you're ranking street projects against park projects. And again, hopefully next year we'll move back to that bucket system. But this year we don't quite have that option, but you do on the back end, I guess, if you want to do it while you're looking at projects. So you better understand as a council, you know, what is our top park project and what is our top road project. And again, I'll show you that in a minute.
And so another thing that came up also was like, should we rank it by cost? Should, you know, this $10 million project take precedent over $1 million project or vice versa?
So that's up to the councils. And I will just say that cost is one thing that we have sort of pulled out a little bit. I know that cost was something, at least for councils proposing projects last year, we got feedback that the cost item or the cost line item that you would fill out, councils were concerned that if they didn't put something in there, they were doing it incorrectly, but they didn't know how to estimate a project's cost. And so I believe parks didn't even include cost in any of their projects. So it might look like zero, or it may not even be in there this year. For park projects, PM&E projects, it's probably still in there. But I would say it's up to the individual council how you want to rank your projects, and maybe cost is a factor or maybe not.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so excuse me, Chelsea. So
Yeah.
just the projects that Turnagain Community Council has traditionally not ranked, if they're not within our boundaries, um, I just keep typing, we're not ranking, not in our boundaries, and the comment spot just continue to do that. It's kind of a pain to have to do that every year, but
I understand. I'm sorry, Kathy. I wish there was a better option, and hopefully next year there will be.
okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
So I have a follow-up question to that. So does every project have to be ranked, or do you just rank your most important ones and then the remainder don't have a ranking?
Why don't I get into the back end here? And if I don't answer that by the time we go through sort of what I wanted to point out once I'm logged in, John, feel free to bring that question back up.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions before I sign in and poke around in the back end? All right. Okay, so back up to this top right-hand corner where we log in. Mine does a nice little pre-populate here, which is great. And again, this is the reset my password. If that's not working like it didn't for John, send me an email because I can help get that fixed for you. But hopefully, some folks, I can tell you who the login is for your council if you don't remember, or and then that person can put their email in and reset the password. Or sometimes we need to create a whole new login, which is also totally fine, and I can help with as well.
I would need that. This is Michael with Tourniquet Arm.
You would need a new login?
Yes.
Okay. So if you have access to that letter from the mayor's office, it has my email on it, or I can also just
send you an email.
Yep, I can just put it in the chat right now as well.
Okay.
And, yep, just get me an email and I will get you something set up.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing's been done on this end since 2020, it looks like. So
yeah, you're not alone.
I'm not sure anyone really cares down here. I brought it up in community council meetings and no one seems to really care. I think they just want the municipality out of their lives, but unfortunately we pay taxes, so we probably should get something out of it.
There you go.
Thanks.
Absolutely. And yeah, here, while I'm at it, why don't I put my phone number in there as well, just so it's all available. And Ari has all of this. If you lose it at any time, she knows how to reach me as well. And since you're here, I'm guessing you know how to reach her. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you log in. Mine defaults to Airport Heights because the IT folks know I live in Airport Heights. And I will be using Airport Heights as an example today, but I'm not going to be submitting anything. So again, please know that I'm very, very well aware of that potential conflict of interest and doing my utmost to be careful. But that doesn't mean that I can't pick on them for purposes of this example. Okay, so we're in here. First thing I want to point out is that your list, you can copy. And if you copy it, you can paste it right into an Excel, or you can download a CSV, which is a type of Excel file, an Excel file, a PDF, or just direct to print. So that's one option. And the reason why you might use that is similar to how you might use last year's list. So Airport Heights, the last couple of years, we've done a survey of our residents using our community council list or our capital improvement program list. And so this would have been very helpful. We just do it on our own. We just sort of copy and paste it, but this might be helpful to sort of export that list into something more user-friendly for you if you want to make adjustments before coming back in here to submit it. And then what else did I want to point out on here? Okay. So this commit final priorities button, that's when you're all done. So that's like your final submit button. So that's the one you want to avoid until you've passed your resolution in May, like John, and you've come in here and you've made all the changes you want to make. And then you've double checked it. And then when you are ready to take a deep breath, then you can press that, pretend like it's the big red button. But until you're ready for that, avoid this commit final priorities if you click it on accident, I'm sure there's an back-end IT way to undo it and have you go back in there, but that's the end.
Chelsea, excuse me, this is Kathy Gleason.
Yep.
One of the things that was a major issue for me last year, and I don't remember ever having this problem before last year, is because the CCC comments column on the right-hand side, we have a fair amount of input. Sometimes the description isn't quite where we needed it to be, etc. For whatever reason, or say, I'm typing in continually not ranked, this is not in our area, over and over again. So it takes me a while to do this. And what happened last year is I got timed out. I tried it 3 times and I got timed out and was never really able to. I'm not sure what in the end you got on your end. And I felt like I should, so I lost everything that I'd typed in the CC comments columns on everything. It was really frustrating. And so how do I like the interim process save to make sure if somehow something goes wrong, I don't lose all my work product in the middle of this? Do any councils have that issue? I certainly did.
So Kathy, that could be a good reason to download this as an Excel file, and then you could type in all those columns in your Excel file and then just copy and paste them in. Rather than typing.
I'm not good at Excel. So there's that. I'm not good at Excel. So I don't mind using what's on the screen, type in the comments. I don't know, is there an interim way, like save this?
Yep.
So what if I have to go out for lunch and I'm halfway done and I come back and save it? Is there a way to make sure nothing is lost before I push the comment final final priorities submit?
Yep. So you'll notice I can't type anything in here on this page. I can give it a rank, but that's the only thing I can do. And when I do that, it gives me the option to cancel the change or save to change priorities. And now see, this changed from what it said before was commit final priorities. I can save my change priorities. And that's not the big red submit button. That's just, I want to save my work in progress. And I also wanted to point out that if you give two projects the same number, it's not going to let you save. It's going to tell you have a rank conflict. And so that's one way to sort of double check your work, is that it does it for you, because IT is smart about setting up these programs, and they won't let you. So that's an indication that you have some sort of rank conflict. And John, to your question earlier, I believe you can leave a project ranked as NA, and that leaves it unranked.
Okay, thank you.
So I believe you don't have to rank everything, if I remember correctly. And again, I'm not going to make any changes for Airport Heights because they're going to do this on their own. So I'm just going to cancel my changes and let it think for a minute.
What does current NA mean?
So currently you don't have it ranked. If you rank it as 1 and then you save your changed priorities, which again, I don't want to do because I don't want to mess with Airport Heights, that'll change to 1.
Oh, okay.
I believe, if I remember correctly. And again, it's a little bit tricky for me to, I don't have like a test environment. I could have brought IT into this, but
okay.
They have a test environment that I could double check that. But okay, so oops, I got to do this cancel change again.
Sorry, can you clarify? Is there a timeout? I mean, is there a on the back end? Is there no 2 hours? No, 1 hour. Everybody's got 1 hour, and then you time out.
I'm not aware of a timeout, Kathy. But here, if you let me keep going, I can hopefully get back to that. So I can't edit anything on this page without, other than the rank. But if I say edit these projects, then it gives me this where Kathy was talking about, where she puts in her notes, or you can request to delete the project, which again, that's sort of the feedback we've gotten about a lot of those area-wide projects in the past. And then you will also note that there is a save changes. So Kathy, I would say that every time you enter in notes, you go up here and you save changes. And I know that's frustrating, but I think that is one way to avoid losing your work.
Okay, and that doesn't preclude, that doesn't take me back anywhere else. It'll keep me on this page.
I believe
to
so.
do the next
Yes.
one. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I
Yep.
think
And then,
that's what I was confused about last year. That
yep.
somehow,
I know some of these buttons, and it depends on the size of your screen, right? Sometimes they're a little more visible than otherwise, than they are otherwise, depending on what type of device you're working on. And again, this is the kind of thing where once you work with your community council to get the list prioritized, but getting into this system is just really too difficult or too clunky. I'm happy to go in there and rank your projects for you based on whatever was passed by your council. Because I've done this, I've used this program many years. I'm very familiar with it. That's no problem. I'm more than happy to help with that. Or we can do it simultaneously, like we're looking at right now. So you can see that I'm putting them in as you requested, or walk you through once you've gotten to that stage. And then the other thing I wanted to flag on this page is that you also have the option to add a new project. So that'll take you all the way to the bottom, and then you get to put in your project name, the scope or the need. You probably don't have a status for it, and it's totally fine to leave any of these blank. You don't have to fill, just like last year when there was a budget or multiple budget boxes. If you had left them blank, that's totally fine. We took those away just so they weren't confusing this year. But this is where you would add a new project that you want the municipality to consider, whether a park project or a road project or a DOT or AMATS, potential AMATS project. And remember, once you fill it out, I would say for each project that you want to add, I would go back to that fun Save Changes button and remember to get it saved. So this is the page where you add comments, you delete projects, or you add projects. And we're going to go back and let it load for a minute. So then you're back here and you've added your new projects, and then you can rank them among the other projects that you've already ranked. And then once you're ready and you've taken that deep breath, then you can commit those final priorities. Okay. I think that was everything that I wanted to point out. So I think at this point, unless folks need me to point out other things, I'm happy to just use the rest of the time for questions.
I guess, Chelsea, excuse me, everybody. This is Kathy again. So
Yeah.
would it be best to add, if you are adding any project or projects, do that before you come back to this page and just rank everything then? Don't rank first and then, oh, we're adding a project. So that makes that the third one and all the others have to change. And I mean, does that make sense?
Yes, I think that would be the best order of operations if possible, is to get all the projects added or deleted or comments, input on that edit these projects page, and then come back here and do your ranking.
Okay, thank you.
That. Yep.
Chelsea, I have a question.
Yeah.
So under agency, sometimes I think it's confusing to a community council of who's responsible. So is that just our best guess estimate of who should be responsible? Or is that reviewed somehow?
It will be reviewed once you submit it. I believe, I don't want to navigate back through it and take more time, but I believe when you have the option to add a new project, that isn't even a field for you to fill out, which is why you'll see for Airport Heights, these were projects that Airport Heights Community Council submitted. And so they say custom because they were proposed projects from Airport Heights Community Council, and it wasn't determined what agency those would fit under.
So do you determine that and then update these files?
Yep. So we would determine it after we get the priorities. So we got these priorities last year from Airport Heights, and I think it just didn't get updated in the back end, who the agency was. But yeah, and if you have questions on that, as you're going through it and thinking about proposed projects and you need feedback because your residents or council members are interested, I'm happy to help sort of determine what agency it would likely fall under. I'm not gonna set in stone, but I can provide suggestions.
Thank you. So I have a follow-up question to that. So this would include municipal agencies and state agencies then?
So when we did our local lens last week on the CIP process, Mark Eisman from Alaska DOT joined and covered sort of how Alaska DOT and AMATS in particular uses these CIP surveys for their project process, which is a little bit different from the capital improvement program in the municipality, but I was excited to hear that they do really interact with these survey responses more than I was aware of before that conversation. So yes, I think generally for now it's DOT, project management and engineering, or public works, sort of that umbrella, and Parks and Rec. I don't know that I should be saying this on recorded video, but I have a dream that we include all of our capital projects. We think about, it's not just those 3 agencies that do capital projects, it's our libraries or our senior centers, or I think this could be a venue for getting feedback on more than what we get right now, but that's what we're working with right now.
So
I have a decision maker to decide whether or not that happens in the future.
No,
so.
I understand that. I just have a follow-up question though. So if we put if we have a project under the Alaska Department of Transportation, does the municipality then provide that information to the Alaska Department of Transportation? How does that work?
So I believe Alaska DOT would just come and reference these surveys. There hasn't been that I am aware of that like these surveys get sent to them. I'm more than happy to do that. It's definitely an easy thing to do. It's also something that once they're published, they're published. So just accessing this website, they're available at any time.
Thank you.
For anybody to look at, any agency.
Yeah, and just to chime in, when I've talked to other agencies, they won't formally say when or how they pull that information, but I think they have an idea of when these are updated. And so they check them out regularly, or if they're at some point trying to grab information, they'll use this as a data point in grabbing stuff. So that's kind of what I've gotten, is that people will just go on the website themselves and pull it.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Chelsea?
I'll probably think of 4 after we log off.
Well, you know how to reach me.
Everyone have her email. That's really important. chelsea.ww@anchorageak.gov. Best way to reach her, or you can reach out to me and I can connect you with her, or vice versa. Also happy if Chelsea's busy, I can do what I can to help facilitate you in getting online and all of that. Come by our office. We're happy to help. We will probably do something like this again a little bit closer to closing, trying to catch any of those last questions, but yeah.
So I have one more question.
Yeah.
So does the municipality take all these community council requests and consolidate them into a one priority list for the municipality?
So I would say that would be our capital improvement program. And so the community council priorities are one part of what we look at for any given project. Amongst, we have over 10 different criteria that we look at in PM&E for our projects. And I think Parks and Rec has a similar number of criteria. So yes, I would say that the capital improvement program is the output.
Thank you. This has been very helpful.
Great. I'm so glad to hear that.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Of course. And
And
again, when you get in there and you've figured out what your priority list is and you've decided what projects you want to add or delete, and you just want technical assistance getting it submitted, and Kathy, so you don't get logged out or anything like that, I'm more than happy to, for lack of a better word, handhold at that process, or at that point.
I appreciate that awful. Well, hopefully that will not be needed, but I appreciate it if I get desperate.
Absolutely.
And tell your fellow councils this is going to go on our YouTube, and I'll send out links. But if they have people who have help, please spread the word as much as possible. That'll help us reach as many people as possible.
And I will probably do more bird dogging than maybe has been done in past years to encourage folks to get their responses in, because similar to what was said earlier, there are a number of councils that maybe haven't provided any responses in many years. And if you miss a year, I wouldn't say it's the biggest deal, because we don't get, unfortunately we have a limited budget to work with, so we don't get a ton of projects done in any given year. But if we've missed multiple years, that makes it hard for us to understand where priorities might be when we're looking at any point in the year as we're working through our budget process.
And if you saw our last training, Parks and Rec really talked about how important council input is in the data points that they use to prioritize. And I believe Chelsea said something similar, just that community input is valuable and helps them advocate for the projects better. So even if you've said it 10 times, that 10th time is still just as important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I look forward to where we go back to where we rank roads and drainage, projects separately from parks, because it's harder to rank when you've got to have them all in one list.
Absolutely. And I would say the argument for that is that our Office of Management and Budget is working with the entire budget of the municipality. So it was helpful for them to see all, like, what is the top priority, regardless of roads and drainage or parks. But they're not the ones that really use these responses in a hands-on manner in the same way that the departments do. And so we worked with them to sort of, can we switch back to the way we had before? And like I said, and like you said, Kathy, I think community council, I think it resonates more with community councils. And another bucket that we were just thinking of potentially going forward, which is on the assembly agenda tonight, is the Chugach State Park access. Does that need its own bucket, or does that fall within sort of the area wide? But as we work on a capital improvement program for that bond, getting feedback from all councils, because we're all paying into that, at least in the bowl area. So I think it'll be useful for multiple reasons.
Hey, well, if there's no further questions, I will close us out. Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully I'll see some of you tomorrow at our delegates meeting.
Thank you,
Bye,
ladies.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye, everyone. Have a good one.
Everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.